show saying ARMBAR Nation.
I knew you'd come.
All right, Tony, whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Comes in with a little stripe hair or something.
Go.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of ARMBAR Radio. All four of us here once again.
Surprise, surprise.
Hey there, everybody.
Hello.
We knew you'd come.
To our loyal followers. What's up? How's it going?
I am on vacation.
It's really
On
great.
the beach. Hey, I'm trying to keep it low key here, right?
Oh my god!
He cussed. Oh gosh. All right, Tony. So what's up? You want to talk about? What are we talking about here today?
Boy, we have so much to cover from Raw, UFC 203,
Oh man,
SmackDown.
The
Now, I
Cruiserweight
know-
Classic.
Yes, Cruiserweight Classic. We got a new Cruiserweight champion. And how about with TNA, Final Deletion? What's going on with that? Jay, we'll cover that.
Cover all things. Huge signing for Bellator MMA,
Mm-hmm.
as well as also upcoming events. We got Clash of Champions, Raw's next pay-per-view. Well, first pay-per-view, I should say. And then, of course, the All-Star Extravaganza and Bound for Glory happening within a 24 to 40. That's the first time I think a major Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling pay-per-view have happened in the same weekend.
Mm.
All that and more here on ARMBAR.
You're on ARMBAR.
This isn't a preview, Jay.
You guys put me on the spot.
This is it right here. Okay, so I don't know where you guys want to get started
Well,
with.
starting with Raw.
The Raw
The
recap.
Raw
The
recap.
Raw
What's going on
recap.
Recap? I mean, let's be honest. What's going on Raw besides the whole Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens? And
Honestly,
want to throw Roman Reigns in on the deal?
I mean, they're trying to build up the whole Roman Reigns and Rusev feud again, which I really don't understand. I mean, if there was any time for Reigns to take the U.S. title, it should have been SummerSlam. Right now, the feud just seems kind of pointless. I don't buy Roman Reigns as a good guy because all Rusev did was try to have a wedding, and he had to ruin it. In no universe is Roman Reigns a face, just like how in no universe Dolph Ziggler was a face when he had that whole feud with Lana. And
It's one of those feuds that I just don't care about.
There's some speculation with Bayley. She got some major heat backstage.
Was that for that finisher from Monday night?
Yes, it was. It had something to do with that. They don't want to give her a championship push for some reason. They wanted to put a rivalry with her and Nia Jax.
I think right now it's a bit too early for Bayley to get a belt.
Yeah, it is way too sudden. I mean, they did build up Sasha Banks in the beginning and Charlotte. But they want to do is build up a rivalry with Nia Jax and Bayley because have you noticed that Nia Jax is wrestling a bunch of jobbers?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they need.
Does Alicia Fox count as one?
Yes, she does.
Alicia Fox, she did a bad job breaking kayfabe.
I don't think she broke kayfabe at all. I think
She's just that
She
crazy.
actually hit her with like some kind of box or shoe, whatever. She
Yeah,
my goodness! I'm like, sorry. That right
Yeah,
there,
but here's the thing,
that's
like, how many times has that happened? I mean, come on, a whole feud was started with Kane and Jericho over a spilled cup of coffee.
Yeah, true. Booker T and Edge, then they feud over a Japanese shampoo.
Commercial, it didn't even air.
No, but I thought, with that little rivalry she had during the match with Alicia Fox, she grabbed her by the hair and she was just swinging her. It looked like Jason Voorhees' victims, with the sleeping bag scene when she's.
Oh my god, I remember that.
When Jason Voorhees, the guy that played was Kane Hodder, he's like grabbing one of the victims with the sleeping bag and smacking him against the tree. It looked just like that with the Nia Jax and Alicia Fox match, and then a big old spear in the barricade. I thought that was a checkmate right there. It's about time the women's division has a big impact, and I like the fact that Nia Jax is bringing it in because you don't see that much of that these days with a dominating woman like Nia Jax. And I know back in the day Karma was gonna try something like that, but WWE had some issues with her being pregnant and stuff. But Nia Jax, she brings a lot. I like to see her against Tamina. Something like that going on, or two of those join forces. Because we need to see challenges like that. I mean,
for me, I don't know. I'm not really too big on Nia Jax. I'm really too big on Tamina because for me, I'm not really too big on the dominating big women in the division. For me, I'd like to see a lot more athleticism. I like to see a lot more, maybe a bit of the cruiserweight style. Because here's the thing, yeah, we have like a lot of high flyers right now, but they can also be varied. You know, you can tell by Nikki Bella on SmackDown, she has a very strong style and she's very stiff, and it's, you know, something that's really huge. Because to me, it's not the fact that I don't like Nia Jax. It's the fact that she's really green right now. She's really way too early on. I feel like she got called up way too early. And Bailey and others had to really like carry her in matches before they even started. So right now, I think she needs an opportunity to prove herself and not just squash him. Because here's the thing, it reminds me of Goldberg versus William Regal when they tried to say, "Oh, look, he can wrestle." He got exposed. He couldn't wrestle more than 5-minute matches. So I feel it was a bit too early for them to call up Nia Jax. And Tamina, I haven't seen much of her in the ring outside of her matches with AJ Lee, but hopefully we can see more improvement from them coming up. And I don't know. I really hope the Raw Women's Division goes up. I know that Paige is coming back soon, so that should bring spark back to the Women's Division.
There.
A lot of
I
controversy.
think she won the case, right? Because she's actually in the middle of suing.
No, she negotiated her contract.
Okay, I thought she sued them. That's what I thought.
It should bring a smile to the business face. But yeah, I mean, I watched Raw Monday night and wasn't really impressed. I really don't have much to say about Raw, so let you guys talk more about Raw.
Well, again, like I said, you know, for a 3-hour show, you know, I mean, Monday Night Football started. I hate to say it, right? So
Yeah.
I heard Raw, or I read that Raw had just really horrible ratings again.
Yeah, the first time they had a rating under 2.0 in a while. It was 1.69 rating.
Exactly. So really horrible, under a 2 for that, and they're really not. You know, it doesn't seem like it's really changed much since the brand split. To be honest, I mean, yeah, they introduced the Universal Championship. You know, yes, they have, you know, a good women's division on Monday Night Raw, but they're just not kind of utilizing the talent that they have, in my opinion. So right now, the only thing that I'm really looking forward to is the cruiserweights going to Raw. And I don't know if you guys saw Mick Foley's post on Facebook, but he actually kind of told Daniel Bryan and Mauro Ranallo that they can call the matches at that first hour of Raw, or he's inviting them. Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
yeah, because
Yes.
he's kind of Mick Foley was kind of upset about like Jack Swagger signing over, and that like a lot of the Raw talents kind of wanting to push over to SmackDown now, and for good reason, right?
Yeah.
Because better opportunity and a lot of stuff going on over there, right?
I just really love Daniel Bryan's commentary along with Mauro Ranallo because they get really into it. Reminds me of an old school Mike today, especially with Daniel Bryan just doing the "oh my gosh" like every other high spot. It was just really great to watch.
Going back to Raw, I think the division for the women's division, I think it's a lot better on SmackDown on Raw. I feel like they're not getting utilized as much on Raw compared to SmackDown.
SmackDown, there's more emphasis because it's a 2-hour show. There's more wrestling involved, and you got, in my opinion, the best announcer in WWE today with Mauro Ranallo being there. And it's just, I'll be honest with you. I felt, and I'm going to be candid, so I am. I was more excited hearing more about SmackDown's main event for their upcoming pay-per-view, No Mercy, which is October 9th, than I've been the entire Clash of Champions card that's been put together so far. I'm like,
And it's not like Clash of Champions is a bad card. It's just the fact that
I don't know, it just doesn't draw me.
It doesn't make any sense that Raw is supposed to be the dominating show with 4 hours, but it's mostly storyline than just matches. In SmackDown, there's more matches. At the same time, there's a decent storyline like Talking Smack. But I don't get it. There's more going on SmackDown for a 2-hour show versus Raw for a 4-hour show. Why don't they just go back to doing 2 hours on Raw?
because they're losing ad revenue. WCW did that, and they lost a lot of money doing that.
There's
They're
more
kinda
going
stuck.
There's more going on NXT in a 1-hour show than Raw in a 3-hour show.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say it's to blame on the wrestlers, more on the writers.
Yeah.
Raw's notoriously had a really bad writing staff.
Dewey Foley, or what's his name?
Hey, you remember Kane Dewey?
Okay, yeah, I don't even know, but
You should know it.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is that Vince McMahon, I remember seeing a posting for a job hiring for WWE. He wants soap opera writers. He wants sitcom writers. He wants TV writers, people who don't understand the business. And they want to try to fit into these scripts that get reworked and rewritten an hour before the show because all of that has to go through Vince McMahon's approval versus something along the lines of SmackDown where the lead writer for SmackDown right now is the former lead writer for NXT. You've had Paul Heyman writing for SmackDown before.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, they know the business, they know how it works, and they know how to put on a good show. It's just the fact that it's very rare that you get a good show like that on Raw because none of the writers really have an eye for the business as much as the people on SmackDown do or used to also.
Some of them don't even know a wrist lock from a wrist watch.
And the biggest thing I was discussing this with Jay earlier is that to me the biggest problem with SmackDown, with Raw, is that they don't have a top face. You have Rollins, you have guys like Finn Balor, but he's injured. You have the New Day, but they're going around in between. So I have to ask, like, who can you root for on Monday Night Raw? Who can you go for?
Who could I go for on Monday Night Raw?
Yeah, because here's the thing. There's not really like a top face. There's not a top draw. There's nobody that you can really cheer for in Monday Night Raw. Everybody's a heel.
It's kind of true. Yeah, everyone's kind of indifferent with KO because I do like him as the champion. Like I think that he is the right fit for taking over the championship. Rollins, he's kind of the in-betweener right now where, he still wants to play the role of the bad guy, but at the same time, the fans kind of like the fact that he's acting out, etc. like that. No, I don't really care about Rusev being the United States champion. Roman Reigns, everyone knows.
Honestly, he's a face, but everybody hates his guts.
Everyone hates him. Everyone hates his guts. And
it's not that they hate him. It's not that they hate him. They hate the way he was booked.
Exactly. And like that, they ruined his. I feel like the writers, Vince McMahon, they ruined his career. Just because of that.
Honestly, if he had, if it was him instead of John Cena that beat Rusev for the U.S. title, I bet he'd get like a huge applause right now.
How about Sami Zayn? He's still the underdog, though.
Yeah, but Zayn's story.
He's been very directionless ever since the end of the Kevin Owens rivalry.
Everybody's been directionless. I mean, even Cesaro. Cesaro's one of the most underutilized guys. And
Sheamus, right?
Yeah.
Even Cesaro said the night of the draft he wanted to go to SmackDown, but he ended up coming to Raw.
Yeah.
I mean,
sorry about that.
That's cool.
Because you're saying, like, it's kind of like CM Punk said, like, when he was on SmackDown, he had the Straight Edge Society, he had everything. They gave him all these horrible things, and it was on him to turn chicken shit into chicken salad. So
it's like what Heath Slater's doing right now.
Yeah, Heath Slater's killing it.
It worked.
He's doing great. I like.
It says something about SmackDown when I'm excited to see Heath Slater on TV.
Yeah, baby.
He's got kids.
I like why he's like celebrating after that. We're gonna go to Golden Corral and celebrate. Are you coming too, Ron? No, I don't really like kids, but I'll meet you at Dollywood.
I love it, by the way, and I've always been a fan of Heath Slater. Even going back to the Nexus days, for crying out loud. He was doing.
Yeah, I really like the
1-man band, the 2-man band, the 3MB, whatever.
3-man band.
You know what? People don't give him enough credit. It was so bad that it was good. At the same time, and they just they ultimately made him the jobber for the past 2-3 years.
Well, when undrafted, and
here's the biggest thing is that Heath Slater has always been the guy to take the ball and run with it. Like, you remember how Orton had his legend killer gimmick? Mm-hmm. It was actually him who came up with the idea to get squashed by all these legends on the leading up to Raw's 20th anniversary, right? Mm-hmm. It was actually his idea, and Vince McMahon loved the idea, and they ran with it, and it gave Heath Slater TV time and got him over with the fans.
I just feel bad. He got hit with Cyndi Lauper's record.
Yeah. But I don't know.
But hey, Heath Slater out of this, got a job, the tag team titles, and a spot on the A Show, SmackDown.
Mm-hmm. Because
when you look at the spots Slater was doing when he was quote unquote undrafted on Raw, he's there to put Jinder Mahal over.
And watched by Lesnar.
Yeah, and yet on SmackDown he's had more entertainment. I mean, even when Orton beat the crap out of him, and then just when he's about to sign, he's like, thinking it's Stephanie, but it's Shane that's offering him the contract, and then Shane just takes the contract right out from underneath him. But what I liked is how they started the storyline, and there was a finish. There was an end to it. They didn't drag it out. Yeah, it was not something that just dropped. It was something that, hey, let's see it. We've already got a start to it. Let's see a conclusion. Because if Slater ended up getting drafted to Raw, it would have either dropped or dragged on. With SmackDown, they knew what to do when it came to, hey, let's get Slater in the right direction. And let's, bring a nice conclusion, a feel-good moment as we saw Sunday.
And that's the biggest thing I feel that SmackDown has over Raw, is that it actually finishes storylines. It actually has logical sense to their storylines. Even during, before we get into SmackDown here.
The A Show.
Let's just keep embracing
the promo with Cena and Ambrose made sense.
Yeah.
He brought up logical stuff like, who do you think you are? Like, you kicked them in the, you put him on the ropes in the nuts, and then you're mad that he kicked you in the nuts? Yeah. And then he says, yeah, but here's the thing. You couldn't even beat this guy. Referring to AJ Styles.
He made a point.
All these promos make sense, and every story seems like it has a follow-up. Like, there's actually continuity on SmackDown. It's really refreshing to see.
Put it this way,
it's a lot more organized.
Yeah, it is.
Show.
I mean, Mondays. People hate Mondays as it is unless you're a football fan. But now it's like with Raw, it's like, I just don't. I'll put it this way: if Raw came down for a live event at the State Farm Arena in Hidalgo, otherwise known as Mike's Away from Home, I probably wouldn't go. I'd be like, okay, that's nice. I'll hit me up when SmackDown's here or when NXT's here, or even another organization like Ring of Honor or Impact Wrestling. This is why I'm doing my own version of Talking Smack. There was just nothing about Raw this past Monday that got me interested. And to be honest with you, I'm just not really all that hyped with Clash of Champions. I mean, I'm more hyped for other events after the Clash.
And it's not even the fact that Clash of Champions has a bad card. It's a great card. It's stacked.
But there's just nothing that has that it factor.
It's like there's no build-up. Like, they decide to do all the build-up like the week before the show.
Yeah.
Whereas SmackDown, I mean, they're starting build-up for No Mercy right now.
And they're 4 weeks away.
They're not even embracing the U.S. title. I mean, they just let Rusev milk everything. I mean, they don't put prestigious titles on the line. At least they're pushing Miz on SmackDown for something.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he's not pushing the Intercontinental title, but he's actually, he's showing his actions. I mean, what he did to when did the Skull Crush finale to what's his name?
James Ellsworth.
That is vintage. I like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Rusev just made one little appearance just to sabotage Roman Reigns' match with KO, but
and here's the thing.
I don't get it.
Something that I also really like is that they're building characters. I mean, I remember when the draft happened, people were saying SmackDown has a bad roster. They're not going to do well. They're screwing it over. And honestly, that's what I think is one of the biggest appeals of SmackDown is how small the roster is, that they have time to focus on everybody. They have time to build everybody up. They have time to make everybody feel important. I mean, The Miz right now is having one of the best runs right now as Intercontinental Champion, especially with the whole, no, you're going to negotiate my contract, and coming out saying, no, I'm in the main event, Brian. This whole, it's like, authority versus wrestler. But it's done backwards, whereas the authority is the face and the guy is the heel. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's really interesting dynamic.
I know. If you notice that, it's always the same cliche. The authority's the bad guy, and the guy has to be the face. I like the intertwine, and I do. For instance, like the fact that like you said, everybody has a piece of their appearance. Like Baron Corbin made an appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Swagger now, he's getting a taste. He's getting some TV time for once.
Apollo Crews also.
I mean, on Raw, I have a feeling they have a reputation of burying stars.
Unfortunately, they do.
And it's sad because they have so much talent in that roster. They don't have time to give them some TV time. And that's why, unfortunately, Damian Sandow jumped to TNA, Impact. You even have another person jumping in, to like Cody Rhodes.
I mean, yeah, because he didn't want to be Stardust.
He didn't want to be Starbucks. Yeah.
Starbucks. You got some coffee on your mind, Tony.
No, but that's the thing I don't get. Like, they have time to get everybody squeezed in there for a 2-hour show versus this 4-hour show.
And the thing is, Raw has always been, and I'm talking about not just from the recent draft, but I'm talking
back then.
Yeah. Raw was always the entertainment-based show. SmackDown was the wrestling show.
Honestly, even back then, I preferred SmackDown because here's the thing. What would I rather watch? My favorites like Benoit, Guerrero, Mysterio, all these cruiserweights, especially with guys like up-and-coming guys like John Cena and established guys like Booker T.
Yeah.
Or would I rather watch Triple H bury a guy for an hour on the mic?
True.
And I love the hardcore matches. Man, they embraced a lot of hardcore matches on the SmackDown show. I even loved more than the Raw show? Sunday Night Heat. Man, they used to embrace the hardcore title. When Raven was in there and Right to Censor.
Even Velocity back then.
Velocity was great, too.
But that's honestly what I feel is a huge problem right now with Monday Night Raw, is that it feels very much like Reign of Terror era Monday Night Raw with Triple H.
You were right the first time.
Because here's the thing. Back then, Raw even felt directionless. And I guess the biggest thing is kind of like what they used to say about WCW. Tune into SmackDown, you have the good going over evil. But you tune into Monday Night Raw, the bad guys are always getting the upper hand. And, at what point are you just going to say, screw it, I'm going to stop watching because I'm never going to get, that moment of satisfaction.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. I mean, especially the way they crowned the Universal Champion. I mean, with Triple H sabotaging Seth Rollins, it was just like, really? Do we have to crown a champion like that? At least when SmackDown had, going back to Backlash, the crowning of the women's champion, which in my opinion is the real women's title. That's just my opinion. and the tag team titles, which are, in my opinion, the tag team championship on SmackDown.
Yeah, baby.
Exactly. There was no false finish. There was no, screw jobs. There was nothing. It was just, hey, clean winners, clean losers. We know who's going to be running SmackDown.
And it's not just that. It's not just the clean winners and losers. It's the fact that
You've done something.
There's consequences for the loss. There's consequences for the win. You get satisfaction out of it. There's nothing like, I'm going to come out and be mad and demand a rematch for no reason. Another big thing that I feel that SmackDown has over Raw is that they don't put pay-per-view matches on TV 2 weeks before the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
They don't put here's a preview to the main event, Rollins versus Reigns, on
Monday
free
before,
TV.
or something like that.
And they don't have people facing the same people for like a month, because I remember back then it was like a month straight of Cesaro versus Sheamus or
Darren Young versus Titus O'Neil.
Yeah.
For a month and a half.
And it's like you don't have to see that same match for a month straight.
Do you know what I like about SmackDown too? Is when the commentators, like those like Moreno and JBL, these guys, they're focused when they are talking on commentary. They're talking about the match compared to the other brand. They're already going for the kill with the pay-per-view. They talk about the pay-per-view more than they're actually commentating on the actual match. It brings me back to WCW when you would watch a WCW Saturday night match or they always talk about what happened
on the mothership.
Because you're saying they treat it like a sport. In WCW, they treated it like a sport, not as entertainment.
And also, when we look at it, Isaac, you've been critical about Otunga's commentary, but you see he's very relaxed working alongside Morrow and JBL. JBL doesn't pick on Morrow the way he did Cole and Byron.
Mm-hmm.
You notice JBL's, he takes little pot shots here and there at Otunga, but it's not as to the severity he did with Byron and Michael.
Or it's not as bad as when Michael Cole was a heel.
Oh my God,
insufferable! And
I'm still trying to forget those days.
And I just hated watching Monday Night Raw because of Michael Cole.
Yeah,
Byron should just be gone.
But at the same time, it feels like the announce team you would see, because Morrow also does boxing on Showtime. It almost feels like you would see what you see on SmackDown as far as announcing. You probably hear on Showtime, or even back in the day when Morrow was doing MMA.
Yeah, because Morrow calls the moves. Morrow is excited, and I think the biggest thing is that Morrow is a fan of the product.
Exactly,
and that he understands where everything is. He's not going to be like a Matt Striker where he's going to be, I'm marking out, bro, and overhype everything. It's like, oh no, knee slaps here. But he's enough of a fan to respect the product and know when a moment is good, when a moment is hype, whenever he needs to stream and you turn it up to 11 like JR used to.
Yeah, he's pretty much, I think, in my opinion, the new age Jim Ross. And I'm glad he's on SmackDown, because if he was on Raw, I don't know if
JR and Morrow have a very similar voice.
Yeah.
I like the fact that he embraces each move and he actually talks about the wrestling move.
The PK, the Ushigoroshi.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Who else is going to call that?
No, not Michael Cole.
Yeah,
Michael Cole, when I hear Michael Cole comment, he only says 2 or 3 technical basic moves. But Morrow now, he goes technical. He'll be like, an inverted face buster.
Michael Cole's going to call that, oh my!
Or a vintage hornswoggle, or something like a vintage Sheamus. But what I like about Morrow now, he gets into technicalities. He knows exactly what move that is. He reminds me of a little bit of like Joey Styles.
Yeah.
Because Joey Styles, they're called wrestlers. He would name every move that was been executed.
It's too bad Joey Styles wasn't good enough to call this backlash.
Jerry Lawler rarely.
At least Morrow was.
And what I don't get is Jerry Lawler has been wrestling for over nearly 50 years, right?
Yeah.
And when on his commentary, he rarely said a technical wrestling move during the show.
Yeah, but the thing is that Jerry Lawler brought color.
Yeah, he did.
He was good color commentating, yes.
He would always do, or, oh, look at it, he always screeched.
He would bring that high pitch, like something bad is going to happen. Like if someone's falling off the ladder, he'd be like,
Rikishi doing the stink face.
But it worked.
Yeah, it did. Because Jerry Lawler, he's not a bad announcer by any means. I feel like he's really good.
But like The Rock doing that promo of 5 impressions of the wrestlers before he went to Hell in a Cell. He's like, Backstreet Boys. Well, I hope it's not the Allman Brothers or something like that. And he's like, Backstreet Boys.
Officially, I'm presuming we're off the Raw recap and onto the A show SmackDown.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
That's all good.
Yeah. Anyways, before we continue our SmackDown circle jerk here,
Here's a word from our sponsor.
What sponsor? Do you know you can get the WWE Network for only how much?
For
$9.99.
And grapes from Sprouts.
Or Rhythm and Blues on entry.
Wasn't that a tag team also?
What, Rhythm and Blues?
Yeah.
Let's talk about since we're talking about sponsors, let's talk about our GoFundMe page that we still have.
How much have we collected?
Okay, so we
You
collected $0.
know what I was thinking,
Okay.
guys? Why don't we do this? If anybody wants to advertise their business, they should put in money for the GoFundMe page.
Yeah. Okay. So all right, small donation. Let's say $5, $10 on our GoFundMe, and we'll advertise and shout out whatever you want. Give you like a little 20-second spot. Just putting that out there. So, anyways,
we need webcams, we need sound, more equipment, basically.
and we just want to bring all the best quality content that we can to
We
you.
want to set up a little studio here in the lovely home of, Mr. Matuk, as I like to call him, right? And we want to get that going. We're gonna make it nice and pretty. We're gonna have good lighting, everything for you guys.
Mhm.
A little better than how you guys see it set up now. I mean, right now we're kind of like squeezed in. I'm hoping that our new setup is going to be a little different, where we're not, back and forth like this, or we're crunched in, and I'm not like sitting on Tony's lap over here, So
That's not a visual we wanted, but thanks anyway.
So if you like our Facebook page, it's going to be facebook.com /UTPA_armbar. I need to change that.
Yeah.
But right now it's facebook.com /UTPA_ or no, is it just, it's UTPA armbar?
Yeah,
no
UTP
underscore.
no.
Yeah, no underscore, but
It's like 2 years ago. Wow.
Yeah, it's been quite a while, right? So we want, right now we're at 220 some likes.
Yeah, let's
227
boost that, guys. Let's boost that.
So if you're watching this, you guys are wrestling fans, please like us. Please share our page, of course. If you guys like listening to just wrestling talk in general, this is the place to come. You don't have to go to ESPN and watch their highlight with Jonathan Coachman.
Coach.
They kind of stole our idea because me and Isaac have been doing this for 3 years already almost. And then Tony and Jay came along, and then right afterwards, boom, ESPN just decided, hey, we're gonna start doing our own wrestling recaps. And what happened?
Right.
They're larger scale.
Who's been listening to us lately too? Alex Kool-Aid Ansel.
Shout outs to you, by the
Mr.
way.
Kool-Aid, man.
Saw him at the Cino Ray.
Congratulations, by the way, on your 100-pound weight loss, man.
Hell yeah.
That's
Congrats.
incredible. And let's give a shout out to Jake Snake Roberts, DDP, for inspiring him. And by the way, I'm doing DDP yoga, guys. It's awesome. You guys got to get inspired by it. It's a great feeling.
All right, moving on to SmackDown. Let's start off with the Usos.
show.
I thought we were still. I thought we already got to SmackDown.
All right, let's start off with the Usos versus the Hype Bros. How do y'all feel about that match? I really like the Usos as heels.
I do.
I feel like they're really interesting. I feel like they have a lot more character dynamic, and they just look like they're having more fun with it than they ever did when they were face, because they actually have a character.
Yeah, and especially since now they're getting they're supplying reasons to be booed by the audience, as opposed to, oh, you're Roman Reigns' cousin, we're going to boo you, or you've been the same guys for the last couple of years. Time to change things up.
And here's the thing: there wasn't no reason for them to change it. It's not like a Big Show heel turn or face turn where he does it every other month. They said, no, we tried to please you guys. You never respected us, so we don't need y'all.
Yeah.
It's so simple, but something so simple, such simple writing can make it so effective because it gives them a real reason to turn heel.
I was a little disappointed about Dolph Ziggler. I want him to turn heel already. I like him as a heel a lot better than what he is doing right now. I mean, he's saying my maybe a slump. My career must be maybe in a slump, but him giving it to the Miz again.
Well, Miz didn't beat Ziggler clean. Remember, Ziggler did have
He got
some
pepper sprayed
or hair products sprayed in his face by Maurice. But before we can really go into SmackDown, we also got to talk about Backlash this past Sunday, which was part of a huge weekend that involved UFC 203. But we got a new WWE World Champion, guys. Isn't that phenomenal?
I'm so happy about it.
Ambrose.
I'm so happy about it because, okay, it might not have been the cleanest finish, but I felt that
It was a bit of a nutty finish.
Hey, it's a heel move, and he's a heel. If you're a heel, you got to do whatever heel does.
Yeah.
I'm just so glad because for me, as an AJ Styles fan for over 10 years, this has been something that's been a long time coming for us. It's something that, back then, TNA, people, we would be hyping him up. You'd say, no, this is one of the top 5 wrestlers in the world. People were just like, oh, it's that guy from TNA, probably not that much because they never watch it. But now that he's got this worldwide exposure, now that he's been in New Japan, now that he's been all over the world, people are finally starting to see what AJ Styles is worth, and they finally awarded him the championship. And it makes me so happy to say that, AJ Styles is the WWE champion right now.
I don't know why people, think so low of AJ Styles. Okay, big deal. He's a heel. He did what he had to do to win a championship.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys ever seen AJ Styles' classic matches with him against Kurt Angle when Hogan was running TNA, remember that?
Before then, too?
Remember it was Kurt Angle versus AJ Styles? That was one of the best exhibitions I ever seen. I mean, he's done a lot. I like the AJ Styles versus Jeff Hardy matches, him versus Jeff Jarrett.
Still, my favorite match to this day, which is by far kind of like most TNA fans' favorite match, but it's AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe versus Christopher Daniels in Triple Threat.
Unbreakable 2005, the only match to have been given a 5-star rating by the Wrestling Observer, and rightfully so.
I mean, if you guys go to YouTube and just put AJ Styles, even when he was in the Indies, when he faced Daniel Bryan.
He even faced CM Punk in Ring of Honor.
Yes.
Seth Rollins also, when he was like really
Tyler Black, and that was actually Seth Rollins. He was actually had the biggest rivalries was actually with Kevin Owens, Kevin Steen.
Yeah.
And they had a big rivalry, and I think Kevin Owens was also a heel back then too.
Yeah, well, he's always
been a good heel.
I mean, it took AJ Styles 7.5 months after coming into WWE
to finally get it,
become the champion. When guys like Kurt Angle
was in 10 months.
Well, almost, because Styles debuted late January, so February, March, April, May, June, July.
And I think
7.5 months.
I think Vince loves AJ Styles because he's like 97, 96 Shawn Michaels without any of the drama. He's just the best wrestler in the world today.
Styles, I don't see Styles ever being, a guy that you hear, he got suspended for 30 days for this violation, that violation, or hey, you heard Styles doing this. No,
he's also a family man. If you think about it, he didn't do anything wrong behind stage. I mean, he's actually still married to his high school sweetheart. If you guys ever listen to the Stone Cold,
3 sons now,
and a daughter, and he's got
there's been no love in it.
He's got the tattoos on the side of his stomach. With each child being born, he's a big time family man. Despite the fact he's a heel or not, he's been with the same woman since high school. Mm-hmm. His marriage has lasted longer than most of half of Hollywood and the guys in the backstage.
Yeah. How many times has Ric Flair been divorced?
5 times.
But as I was saying, Styles, it took him 7.5 months to get the world title. When a guy like Kurt Angle, it took him over a year to finally get the championship. Almost a year.
And he finally has the big one, and it makes me so happy to see that because I'm a big AJ Styles
Me too. And I thought he was going to get a mid-card title at first, but thank goodness, he went straight to the big one.
And he deserves it. I mean, Styles is the only guy that can say he's been the TNA, IWGP, as well as WWE champion.
And Ring of Honor.
Well, he held the Ring of Honor pure title, but never the world title, unfortunately.
Well, NWA, TNA, IWGP, WWE.
As well as the first ever X Division champion.
Mm-hmm.
What about Kurt Angle, though? Isn't Kurt Angle on that list also, or no?
Well,
TNA, yes.
WWE.
New Japan, but that one has a little bit of an asterisk.
Yeah.
Because that was not the legit IWGP belt.
Same thing with Brock Lesnar.
Well, Brock was the IWGP champion, but I don't see Lesnar ever going to TNA or Ring of Honor to ever win either title.
No, he wants more money.
But no, there's only been, I believe, 2 other men to hold the NWA title and WWE title, and both of those men are Buddy Rogers and Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Christian also had a
Christian never had the WWE title.
Yeah, the world
They had the World Heavyweight Championship, but he also had the NWA title in TNA.
Mm-hmm. But never the WWE Championship.
No, never.
No, but at the same time, though, it was very well deserved for Styles, whether he, cheated to win, whatever. But AJ Styles,
win's a win.
Exactly.
And I'm very happy to say, he's not going to be feuding or having matches every week against Dean Ambrose or John Cena.
Yeah,
it's going to be a proper build-up. It's going to be a proper feud, and hopefully AJ Styles has a really long reign.
Exactly.
I mean, no offense to any Cena's fans, but I'm kind of glad that Dean Ambrose gave him the dirty deeds.
Yeah,
the match because he made Dean Ambrose. He kind of buried Dean Ambrose during the show.
No, I thought both of them had really good promos.
I thought he embarrassed them a little bit. When he mentioned the Stone Cold podcast.
Yeah,
I thought that was a little over the top.
But then Dean Ambrose called him out saying, "Hey, you couldn't even beat AJ Styles, something that I've done."
I was kind of upset. I'm
about.
kind of going for Dean Ambrose.
I got to ask him. I never saw the podcast, but what was that?
That Ambrose has it on the mic. Ambrose has it as far as promo skills and everything, and charisma, but he's lacking as far as wrestling ability. That he kind of phones it in during matches. That's what that's the criticism that Stone Cold gave him.
What was Ambrose's response to that?
Ambrose says that he's mostly a character wrestler, and he knows that he fights sloppy, but that's kind of his style.
Yeah,
is that he puts his whole body on the line.
Which is something like you mentioned in the past when it comes to when we mentioned some of the great brawlers in the business.
Yeah, like Mick Foley.
Or even Jay Briscoe. You even thought Ambrose was a bit sloppy, in which
it fits his character.
But if you think about it, it's the worst one too. Like when Ric Flair called Mick Foley a glorified stuntman. I mean, that's kind of.
Well, those two were kind of semi-feuding in real life.
Yeah.
Austin and Ambrose, I don't think there's any heat between the two.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to the tag titles here. Let's go on into the finals, the Usos versus Slater and Rhino. And
Team Slano.
I felt this is just the best finish to the story. This is the most logical finish. I was scared there was going to be a dirty finish or some cheating. No.
It was clean.
Slater finally got the one up on the Usos, and then Rhino came in and cleaned it up. And that's what I love about this match is that they gave Slater time to shine, and they gave Slater to show, hey, I'm a good wrestler too.
He's always been a great wrestler.
Yeah.
3-time tag team champion with Justin Gabriel. But I'm just happy that Heath Slater's on the SmackDown roster and he's getting a double wide, baby.
Because let's face it, if he wasn't on Raw, he'd be getting squashed by Brock Lesnar again. Or he'd be
I mean, he was better off on SmackDown. SmackDown's become the show of opportunity.
Because here's the thing.
Raw, it's take your chances.
This is what they tell you. It's SmackDown, they tell you, here's the ball, do something with it. And he took that ball and he ran all the way to the tag titles with it.
And Monday Night Raw is like the show of burial.
Or it's like, this is what you're going to get, deal with it.
Yeah, you're laying
your
down
ceiling.
tonight.
Yeah.
And that's what they did if you think about it, that's what they did to Swagger.
Yeah. But now Swagger has an opportunity to shine, maybe get the Intercontinental belt.
Swagger's been promoted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. At 12:01 p.m. That's what he said.
AM, man.
No, 12. Yeah, sorry. It's 12:01 a.m.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It was not during
And he's like
lunchtime.
talking about, I have a smoking hot wife, and
I'm sure he
He
does.
does, actually. I think he does.
See this one?
I think I've seen pictures, yeah.
Yeah, they can actually build a character off of it. They can play off of it. And they're just something that they're looking forward to. And then when American Alpha comes back, that's going to be a really good feud with Slater and Rhino.
dude, I like to see American Alpha and Jack Swagger form a faction.
Maybe even be advised by Kurt Angle.
Ooh, that'd be a great
but any
match.
speculation with
The
Kurt Angle
All-Americans.
getting a
No, he's not coming back
contract?
for a while.
Nothing.
I mean,
Maybe that's like
supposedly
2017.
WWE 2K18 is based around Angle, so that may lead to a comeback. But there's no way he's getting in the ring.
Shelton Benjamin
Shelton Benjamin is injured.
still. I don't get it.
Yeah.
He's making an appearance right now in San Antonio.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
that's just an
match.
appearance.
Yeah,
Doesn't mean
it's
he's
just an
wrestling.
appearance.
Yeah.
And that's something that I guess kind of disappointed me is that Shelton got injured right before he could return to SmackDown because I feel he would have added a lot to the division.
But hey, I mean, at least SmackDown's not going to suffer for it. At least
Absolutely not,
He'll
because-
have a spot waiting for him.
They're making the best with what they got, and what they got is some of the best product right now, some of the best wrestlers right now.
Yeah.
Because it's everybody that everybody thought, oh, they're just mid-carders or they're lower card. Nobody's going to care about them. Because that's what Monday Night Raw did to them. They cursed them and they made them think, oh, these guys aren't worth anything. It's not the main event. Whereas SmackDown as a whole is getting me invested into the whole product, into all the wrestlers.
It reminds me of back.
I'm hyped about No Mercy.
It reminds me of back in the Nitro era in the '90s when the way they did to the cruiserweights. They're burying the cruiserweights, but they get all the top stars like Hogan and Nash and
Guys in
Paul
their
and-
40s who are too slow to keep up in the modern era.
Yeah, but they buried Chris Jericho back in the day, Dean Malenko and Guerrero and Benoit. Because if you think about it, those guys, they were taking their passion away.
Yeah.
And then when they hit the WWE in 2000, they were called the Radicals. And it's like they're doing the same thing to these guys right now on Raw.
When you look at it, I mean, Bischoff threw coffee at Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
For real, not, for show. I mean, who does that? I mean, I could never see Vince McMahon or even Billy Corgan throwing coffee at a wrestler.
No, and even back then, like back in the day, backstage interviews, whatever, Bischoff, with Ric Flair in the room, he would be telling the wrestlers, aside from Macho Man and Hogan, none of you ever drew a single dime.
Yeah, I could never see that.
It's a slap in the face to Ric Flair. And
It was.
But, aside WCW aside, whatever, I don't feel that they're doing that on Monday Night Raw. But it's just that they're very underutilizing their talent. They're underrating them because they just want to focus on that main event. And when your
It's more
show,
about the entertainment side than
when your
is.
show focuses only like on 30 minutes out of the whole 3-hour product, that means that there's something wrong. Because if you can only get the audience to care about 1/6 of your show, what does that say about the rest of your audience? I mean, you have good segments, like you have good teams, you have good talent, you have Enzo and Kaz, you have the New Day, you have Sami Zayn. Utilize them. You have an extra hour over SmackDown. You should be the better show.
Yeah, don't just feed them
What
to your
about
main
Neville?
guys.
Yeah,
Same
I
thing with
remember Neville.
He's been on Superstars. I watched
Yeah, he needs to be. He needs to be on Raw.
No, but he was wrestling. He was wrestling against I forget who the heck he was wrestling against.
John Baba Ganoush.
No, I just watched it. Oh my god, Curtis Axel. He was wrestling against
Mr.
Curtis
Irrelevant.
Axel.
He called himself.
Do you think that Neville should
Josh
be?
wrestled too.
He did, but he's fighting against jobbers.
I mean,
now.
Neville should just be one of the highlights of the cruiserweight division.
And they're just burying him on that pre-show, whatever you want to call it, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
He's like one of the top wrestlers in that show, and just because he's short and he's British, and maybe he's not so much of a gimmick like the rest.
He
of them,
was
but
he was the longest reigning NXT champion, one of the best
Exactly.
NXT champions too.
Yeah.
Dallas and Bo Dallas and
Yeah,
had a quite
Bo
rough
Dallas
one.
is also an amazing NXT champion. I really liked his reign. What about you?
I believed. That's all I'm going to say.
I just thought it was hilarious. I just remember, like, he had this whole segment where Sami Zayn came out and was like, they're booing you. He's like, they're not saying boo, they're saying boo!
I just don't like
And then
Bo
his-
Dallas. Yeah.
How he was exiled from NXT was great.
He's if you think like, he's putting his persona as a mockery now, especially at the airport on TMZ.
Yeah.
I thought that was just ridiculous.
We gotta get away from the negativity of Raw and embrace
All right,
the power
so-
positivity of SmackDown.
I'm sorry, guys, but I want New Day to lose. I'm sick of them. I never
Yeah,
Anderson and
Dale.
Gallows to.
You want to
actually
see
take-
Dr. Gallows and Dr. Anderson surgically remove the tag team titles from the New Day at Clash of
We need
Champions.
some change, guys.
You know, I wish that I missed when the Bullet Club, Anderson Gallows, when they were treated like Nash and Hall back in WCW, when they were treated like the outsiders, like the invaders.
Yeah.
They weren't these comedy gimmicks. They were just silent people that just kicked ass.
Yeah.
And that's something that I kind of wish that they would be doing with them right now, is that, they're doing comedy, they're doing out there doctors, they're doing the old day segment. No. What I want them is to come out during the New Day segments or just come out and just kick their ass and leave. I want them to have that gimmick that we're serious wrestlers from another place. You're not on our level. You're going to give us our belt.
Well, hopefully there'll be some sunshine in the Clash of Champions.
Yeah.
But speaking of championships, first ever SmackDown Women's Champion, the Irish
Becky
Last
Lynch.
Kicker.
And I was really happy that it was her and Carmella in the finals because it gives them a good opportunity to build it up. And now Alexa Bliss is fighting for the title, and you're giving all these women
That's a
who can
surprise,
actually
by the way.
wrestle.
Yeah.
You're giving them opportunities to go for the title. It's not like bra and panties matches. It's not like Jillian Hall back then or Kelly. These girls can actually go at it, and they're really talented and they have character.
Yeah.
Like Alexa Bliss is by far one of my favorite heels. I don't know if you were watching Talking Smack, but her whole segment with Daniel Bryan was hilarious. It was just like, you just interrupted me? Rude. She has like a really funny character. She just has something that you just want to.
I love the Harley Quinn gimmick that she's got now. Somebody noticed.
She's pulling it off. Yeah, I think she's one of the prettier divas in the locker room. up there
Carmella,
with
she's full of
Paige.
bliss.
Up there with Paige, if you know what I mean.
I think Carmella needs time.
she needs more.
She needs
more
time.
development.
She needs time because right now, she's separated from Enzo and Cass, which was what she was known
It's
for.
weird that she's pulling the heel gimmick now.
Yeah, it is.
When she was with Enzo and Cass NXT, and then coming up, she had that face. Now you notice she's not coming out with the mic anymore in her entrances. Before she was like, "Hey, my name is Carmella."
Yeah.
It's annoying.
Something
man.
like that. Okay, so we get that.
Yeah.
So she has a more serious tone. And I kind of people don't like it, but it's interesting to see her go up.
It's working.
Take down people like Nikki Bella, for instance. Who
Yeah, and it's very much a generational thing. The new talent is coming up and taking the spotlight from the old guard.
Could we trade Eva Marie to Raw?
No, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I like Eva Marie's character. I like it a lot.
Or no,
No, she's already up. It's already up.
What about
today.
Asuka?
I just hate the weird announcer.
About Asuka, what do you guys
That's what
think?
I love about it. Is the fact that I love
Eva
that
Marie.
they carried it over into SummerSlam, where she could not come due to exhaustion, and it just fits her character perfectly. That they're hiding her bad wrestling by having all these gimmicks, they're having all these
Wardrobe malfunctions.
Excuses.
and it makes you want to see I just want to see her get her butt kicked. I just want this to happen. You know what I mean? it's really exciting to see, and I'm really happy that they're doing something with Eva Marie's character that accentuates her and is a positive for her.
It gets annoying after a while, but I don't know. I've never been a big Eva Marie fan, so if she
Well, I have never been either, but SmackDown got me interested in Eva Marie because it's well written.
Because it was Raw, it would have probably annoyed it even more.
Mm-hmm.
But with
or they would have just overdone it.
Yeah, that's exactly. But
guys, what about Asuka? If she gets,
I want her in SmackDown.
You want SmackDown?
I cried when Finn Balor was moved to Raw.
I would love to see Asuka versus Nikki Bella. Two really strong matches.
I'd rather see Asuka and Becky Lynch. The Empress of Tomorrow against the Irish Lass Kicker.
I don't know. I'm really hoping to see
It's
that.
interesting to see Asuka because she's like undefeatable right now.
Do you guys see more divas in the SmackDown or Raw? Because I feel like there's more divas on SmackDown.
There's less divas on SmackDown, but more content because there's.
Are you sure? I mean, there's more than on Raw.
No, Raw has more talent, but SmackDown has the better division, in my opinion.
Yeah, they have more pure wrestlers.
I just wish that they would stop doing all these multi-women matches and utilizing all their talent on SmackDown.
The 6-woman tag.
It's always 6-pack challenge.
Give us a women's tag champion. I don't know why not. I don't see why not.
Well, we see one day a women's cage match.
Before we even have like the triple, whatever, like the women's tag team, I want to see a triples championship on Monday Night Raw.
Oh gosh, I don't know if I want to see that.
No, because speaking of which, I mean, Lucha Underground's got the Trios Championship. It's been very popular in Lucha Libre for years. Now Ring of Honor is and now New Japan
has the King of Trios, and then Chikara has the King of Trios tournament.
Ring of Honor is introducing that coming up at All-Star Extravaganza September 30th. I posed the question to you guys recently. Do you think the 6-man tag team championship would work?
Absolutely.
Which you said yes. Mike, not so much. Tony, I'm not too sure what your response was. You might have to refresh my memory.
Which one?
If a 6-man tag team championship would work in WWE.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Nope.
And I want some dynamics.
There's just not enough time.
It would have worked when the Shield was around and they were dominating like everyone. But
for me, it works because it's the fact that you have the opportunity to create so many factions. You have the opportunity to create so many tournaments. And I mean, I know we've had bad factions like PCB and like Shield and whatnot.
Bad.
League of Nations.
But you could also have awesome things like imagine having the club, form a trios
the Aces of Eights,
and they indoctrinate someone like Dolph Ziggler into the club, which I feel should happen.
The show off club.
Ziggler needs to do something with him. So
he could be the one-man super kick party of the WWE's version.
Yeah, honestly, Dolph Ziggler in the club or the Bullet Club is one of my dreams because he has that persona. He has the persona. He has the attitude. And he could go back to his show off persona because he's a cocky gaijin.
Yeah,
they need to change him heel.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. So moving on, let's talk about UFC 203 really quickly.
This past Saturday night.
Oh
man, I
expected nothing, and I was still
in
disappointed.
the eyes, and
ultimately, the card was the heavyweight fights weren't too bad in terms of the fights after CM Punk. But let's talk about the reason why people showed up in Buffalo's on Saturday night to go check out UFC 203 was to see CM Punk. Both wrestling fans and those that hate pro wrestling. I'm to see Punk get slaughtered.
I'm a huge CM Punk fan. I'm a huge fan of wrestling. I respect what he did.
Yeah.
I have nothing but admiration for him. He set a goal. He said he was going to do something, and you know what? He did it. So I'm really happy.
He won regardless if he got into the octagon and left.
But what's disappointing is that this might be his only fight in UFC because he's had 2 years worth of training. Everybody expected him to lose. Like I said, the match ended exactly the way I expected it to. Mm-hmm. But
this is why you don't put brown belts against white belts in jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
Because Gall already had 2 fights more than CM Punk, and he basically slaughtered Punk. But you know what? At the same time, though, we waited 2 years. We wanted to see it.
And it happened.
Yeah.
It was nice to hear Cult of Personality again.
Yeah, it was.
Exactly.
I was waiting for him to do the...
Yeah,
you know how much they paid CM Punk?
He got paid more than Mickey Gong.
Yeah, he got paid more. Like $550,000 for Punk, and then I think
2 minutes
got $35,000.
15 for the match and 15 for winning.
He for 3 minutes getting beat up by Mickey Gall. I'd take $50,000 for that.
I would take anything. He can choke me out any day. Shoot.
But yeah, I thought it was really. I thought it was
heroic of Punk to do it.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see, no matter what happened, he was a winner in my eyes. But the question is now, where does he go from here?
Probably Bellator or
I doubt he's going to
Lower
Bellator. He signed an 8-match contract with UFC, but even Dana White said that his next matches will not be in UFC.
I mean, I think Punk should get more experience in the minor leagues.
He's 37.
Yeah, but look at what George Foreman did at 45 when the world heavyweight title. Yes, he was already experienced.
Yeah, George Foreman had years of training under his belt, whereas CM Punk has no experience outside of wrestling. So,
but he could still get experience fighting in the minor leagues.
At this age, though?
37.
Never say never.
I mean, yeah, DDP started at
35 years of age at 1991.
Yeah, but the thing is that, it's wrestling versus something like MMA versus something like jiu-jitsu. Not to downplay wrestling because that takes a lot of skill, it takes a lot of talent, but something Punk has been doing for years, even DDP was doing for years as a manager, as opposed to something that's an actual combat sport, something that actually takes years of training to master.
Yeah.
I just feel like it might already be too late for Punk. And personally, what I would want to see for Punk is maybe go to Ring of Honor, maybe go to New Japan, and build himself up as a wrestler again.
Yeah, because I never see Punk going back to WWE, but
neither do I.
Never say never, but I mean, right now they're in the middle of that lawsuit with that one doctor.
Yeah, Chris Simon.
But ultimately, though, CM Punk can say, "Hey, I fought in the UFC, win, lose, or draw." How many people in any wrestling roster today, with the exception of Brock Lesnar
and Ken Shamrock? Ken Shamrock wrestled in the UFC also.
But currently, though, can
Dan
say they fought in the
UFC.
And Dan Severn wrestled in the WWE, and he was a UFC champion.
Bobby Lashley turned it up in Bellator and WWE.
Oh, yeah, Tank Abbott. He was in WCW and UFC.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the biggest thing is the fact that
Lashley's a machine, though, man.
Exactly.
He's built like a tank.
And
with Lesnar,
And we'll face EC3 in the main event at Bound for Glory for the TNA World Championship.
I'm hoping that Punk, goes back to his true home, in my opinion. He might be soured on it, especially after experiences with Vince McMahon with WWE. But I hope he returns to his true home in the ring, in pro wrestling, because it's like I said before, in pro wrestling, CM Punk is in the top 2% of wrestlers in the world. In UFC, bottom 2, personally.
I mean,
maybe
best in the world, yes, in wrestling, mixed martial arts, maybe not so much. But like I said, it took a lot of balls to go from one field to another. And you know what? Hey, the worst thing you can do is fail. Oh, well.
And he expected to fail. He
actually wanted to win. He actually said, during the interview, man, I really wanted to win.
The worst thing that Punk could have done was never go into the octagon, because then he would have never knew. Sometimes it's best to be told no than to not know.
Yeah.
And, hey.
And you could see it on his face. He was disappointed. He was angry at himself. But at the end of the day, he did something that not many people would have done.
But it's not about how many times you get knocked down. It's about how many times you get back up.
By the way, want to use it? Let's use that as our new quote.
Our new closer.
Our new closer instead of the classic Scott Hall.
I love the Scott Hall one.
I love the Scott Hall one myself.
What Jay and I were talking about, we can.
Well, I was even thinking about
it out next week's show.
We were talking about new openings, a line from NWA. You're now about to witness the strength of wrestling knowledge. I just need that. I need someone with the right voice. I mean, I could see Mike doing it.
It's a recording intro. Remember we used to have Limp Bizkit?
Yeah, Limp Bizkit. That's funny.
If God built me a ladder to heaven, I would climb it and elbow drum the roll.
Tools.
Control. That's by Mick Foley.
Express yourself.
All right, so. All right, let's talk about.
I was going to go towards I was going to say, did we talk about the CWC before we finish off?
Yeah, let's close up with CWC. We have the winner in TJ Perkins, Filipino,
representing the
winner of the Cruiserweight Classic.
I'm really disappointed it wasn't Zack Sabre Jr. or Kota Ibushi, but contract negotiations. However, your boy Grand Metalik made it to the finals.
I'm glad he did. Through this series of matches that he's wrestled, I was very surprised in how good of the matches he put on. And in my opinion, he put on all the best matches throughout the entire, aside from Kota Ibushi, he did great also. And of course, TJ Perkins is your champ, right? That was a surprise for me, but Grand Metalik, I hope he signs a contract with WWE.
He did.
And he did great.
He's confirmed for Raw.
Guy needs to be there. I mean, this guy the match he had with Tajiri was amazing. I thought it was just I was jaw dropping. This division that they're throwing out, and I hope they do it again next year, minus the, giving out the title because they can't really do that because they have a champion now. But they should do this every year where they bring in a new set of people and just, throw in a great series, a tournament. It was amazing. You don't need any storyline.
I feel that tournaments are the best thing in wrestling right now, like King of the Ring, King of Trios.
And guys, be honest,
the G1 Climax.
If you guys watch these matches like I did, can you not say that this is the best wrestling that you've seen in a long time?
In a long time.
Already since the WCW days with their cruiserweight division.
And you had guys like Justin Liger, Tajiri, Brian Kendrick, and new faces like Zack Sabre Jr. I'm surprised that Will Ospreay didn't come in because he had a classic match with Ricochet in New Japan.
Yeah. It was just, to me, the Cruiserweight Classic was wrestling at its best. No storyline, no motivation, no messed up finish.
Motivation.
Well, a real motivation.
Trophy,
a real motivation, not, something where, like John Cena and Daniel Bryan, the conclusion of that match at SummerSlam 2013.
Yeah, but all these guys came in with the same purpose, win. Yeah, they wanted to win and for different reasons, to prove that they still got it, to win that big opportunity, to win the belt, to prove it to themselves.
Bring in veterans like Brian Kendrick and Tajiri, guys that are tearing it up on the international and indie scene, like Kota Ibushi, Zack Sabre Jr., even also Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. I mean, some of my favorite matches in the Cruiserweight Classic involved, Johnny Gargano, him and Tommaso Ciampa, him and TJ Perkins.
I'm so glad that Johnny Gargano finally signed. Yes. I'm really happy about that because
Johnny Wrestling.
He's one of the guys that I felt was really under the radar as far as the indies. I'm really glad that WWE finally signed him.
And he's a great talent. I think he and Tommaso are going to make an awesome tag team at NXT and eventually Raw. Maybe maybe spark things up on Raw. Or, hey, I like to see him on SmackDown. But yeah, just so many great matches in that.
What I like about the CWC? Whether win or lose, I like the fact that at the conclusion of the match or the beginning of the match, they shake hands before they wrestle.
Oh, it's something that's even carried over from Ring of Honor.
Exactly.
But at the end of the match, when they're standing side by side and the referee's announcing the winner,
it feels like a real fight.
It does.
Like
it does feel like a UFC bout. Yeah, I don't see why they don't do that on Raw. It's just more entertainment based, like you said.
And how would you feel like, I don't know, there's talks of next year, maybe they're going to include like a point system as far as like hits, as far as like pins, number of pins and matches, and make it seem more legitimate.
That's what TNA is doing with their new Grand Championship, which they replaced the King of the Mountain title with, which I can't wait to see the conclusion of it at Bound for Glory. But there's even talks of doing a women's tournament.
That'd be incredible to see, especially if you bring in international talents.
Exactly.
I would love to see someone like, Candice LeRae come in or someone like,
I would say Havoc, but WWE and Havoc have not exactly seen eye to eye.
Yeah.
This could be a chance to bring back someone like Karma, who I could see coming back, or even also
maybe even like
Mandy Leon from Ring of Honor.
Yeah. Huh? Or even unsigned talents, like maybe you could bring in ODB or something like that.
Bam!
Oh, man, I miss her. What happened to Eric Young by any chance?
Eric Young, he actually, spoiler alert on NXT tapings, but he's got a new stable right now in NXT.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Bobby Roode, I'm glad they're using him too. Bobby Roode.
It's glorious how they're using
It's
Bobby
very
Roode.
glorious. But yeah, guys, talking about the Cruiserweight Classic, it's about time to wrap up, don't you think?
Any shout-outs?
Yeah.
You want to do some shout-outs?
Yeah. Closing shout-outs for me, I guess, people that I work with at HEB. Shout-outs to you guys. Shout-out to all the ARMBAR Nation, people that are listening.
Chris Martinez.
We really have a lot of viewers today, but hopefully the people that are subscribed to our channel will watch our video later. Again, we're going to try to make this show a little better for you guys. We're going to try to set up a little studio. Maybe have a nice little background of wrestling posters, etc., like that. Maybe
construction.
He can donate some of his stuff also if he has anything he wants to kind of clean out from his room. Because I know you have a lot of stuff, Tony. I know you got a lot of stuff also. So we need to make this, a little better looking for us. Like I said, we have a little setup right here, but I want to make this look like super legit. You know what I mean? So
straight out ARMBAR.
Again, look at our Facebook page. I have a GoFundMe page. Anything that you guys can donate will help us out a lot. $2, $5, whatever.
We'll post your businesses. If you guys have any business owners out there that do need a shout out for their business, a little bit of advertisement, guys, I don't care if you want to put in $5, $10, something for our show. We have a GoFundMe page. Please, if you're interested, we'll put a good shout out for y'all's business.
A nice goatee going on over here, Tony. Oh no, it's on me now. You see that?
Are you doing like Snapchat on the computer?
Effects, look right here.
Oh,
right there. You see that?
That's cool.
And plus, hey, I mean, you'll never know when you'll run into the guys from ARMBAR like ourselves. You got Tony and Mike who always kick ass over at HEB in their respective departments. Might see me and Isaac, who knows, maybe at the bar, maybe at the gym. I don't know, something.
Me at the bar.
I try to balance both. Tony knows that. He's had to drive me home a few times.
I gotta tell you what. I'm stuck in the kitchen like Quasimodo all day in the Notre Dame castle in that kitchen. I'm stuck 8 to 9 hours a day. You guys watch the show? Please, don't be shy. Just come over
let
here.
us know that,
Give Tony some love.
We like hearing that, some appreciation.
Yeah, come over here. I'll give you a sample. I'll give you a good amount. Entertain you. I'll talk to you. Talk wrestling, whatever. Food, wrestling. Hey, it's good either way. Just give me stop by and see me. I'm work 40 plus hours a week there. I live there at HEB. Mike too.
For the most part,
For the most part, yeah. So give us some love. You see Isaac anywhere at Walmart or HEB or at school or at a bar, whatever.
The beach.
Bother them. Who cares?
I hate the beach.
Just bother them. And if you see Jay, give him some love too.
Yeah.
All right.
Buy me a beer too.
Shout out to the ARMBAR community, to the ARMBAR fans, to the ARMBAR universe. Thank you so much for supporting us, always listening to us. We know we might not always be on time. We know our schedule is very sporadic, but we want to produce the best wrestling content as far as it goes in the Rio Grande Valley, especially for radio and podcasting, Jay.
Special shout outs, of course, to one of our number one fans, Corey from Michigan. Thanks for being a supporter of ARMBAR, even from afar, as well as also my family, my brother and
wife
sister,
too.
Liz as well. Shout outs to you. And just everyone that supported ARMBAR, shout outs and thank yous to you as well.
All right, guys, that wraps it for this week's edition of ARMBAR. Remember, y'all, hard work pays off, dreams come true, bad times don't last, but bad guys do. Thanks for listening, everybody.
No gloves.
No gloves.